Greetings. My name is David Parr, and I'm the Artistic Director of the California Revels. We'd like to welcome you to our virtual variety show. Every year, Revels, like most performing arts organizations, conducts a fundraising gala. We bring you together, we wine you, we dine you, we entertain you, and we ask you for the money we need to sustain us throughout the year. Well, in the current situation, we can't bring you together, wine you, or dine you, but we will entertain you, and yes, we do have to ask you for money. You are about to enjoy nearly an hour worth of performances by some extremely talented artists who have participated in Revels over the years. These artists have freely donated their talent in the hopes that by doing so, you will be persuaded to give Revels the support we need to continue. This time of social isolation will end one day, and when it does, we'll need Revels more than ever. So please, click the donate button, and please, be generous. And now, the California Revels is pleased to present our virtual variety show.
Well, here's a little story from Seamus Ennis, great piper, wonderful raconteur, about a little girl who lived in Ireland a long time back when the children at a certain age were expected to go work in the farming communities for a season. So it was one little girl's time to go, and they went to the hiring fair, which is where the farmers found the young people. And she was waiting, and there were people being hired to the right of her and the left of her, and she wasn't being hired. She was a little nervous she wouldn't be picked, when up came a little man with a pink peaked cap, red boots above his knees, a little green jacket, and a long grey beard. And he said, "You look like a strong girl, I'll hire you." She said, "Well, my mother said I should get a good wage." "Oh, I'll pay you well, you look strong now, come along." And the deal was made with her parents, and off she went with them. And in those days there were no buses or taxis or trams, and so they just had to walk along on their own 2 feet. And as they were walking, he looked at her and said, "Now, little girl, what would you call me?" And she said, "Well, Mr. or Sir, the master of the house, whatever you please, sir." And he said, "No, I'm Domine Precepto." "Very good, sir," she says. Well, soon enough they came in sight of the most beautiful little thatched cabin you've ever seen in your life, little curls of smoke out the chimney. And he said, "Little girl, what will you call that?" She said, "Well, it's the house or the hut or whatever you please, sir." "Ah, no," he said, "that's the great Castle Strawbuncle." "Very good, sir," she said. Well, she was a dutiful little girl. She knew well what her tasks would likely be, and so she immediately set to making the tea. She took the kettle and she was dipping water into it from the barrel. And he said, "Little girl, what do you call that?" She said, "Well, it's the water, the wet, or moisture, whatever you please, sir." He said, "Ah, no, that's pondalorum." "Very good, sir." So she took the kettle, she hung it on the hob, and was stirring up the flames when he came in and said, "Little girl, now what do you call that?" She said, "Well, it's the heat, or the flames, or the embers, or the coals, or the fire, or whatever you please, sir." He said, "That's hot cockalorum." "Very good, sir," she said. Just then the cat came up and was rubbing up against her, and she was petting it a little. And he said, "Now, little girl, what do you call that?" She said, "It's the cat, or the pussycat, or the kitty, or the kitten, or," he said, "Ah, no, that's white-faced simony. Now come, little girl, I'll show you the rest of the house." And he showed her room downstairs, and he showed her around, and he as they were going up the steps, he stopped and he pointed down, and he said, "Little girl, what do you call these?" And she said, "The steps, or the stairs, or whatever you please, sir." He said, "Ah, no, that's the wooden hill." "Very good, sir," she said. Well, they went on up, and he was showing her around. He showed her in it where his bedroom and where he slept, and he said, "Now, what do you call that, little girl?" She says, "Well, it's your bed, or your bunk, or your cot, or your sleeping place, or whatever you please, sir." He said, "Ah, no, that's me barnacle." And a little later, he'd had his big nightgown on, but he was having trouble getting his boots, and he said, "Little girl, will you give me a hand with these?" And as she was tugging on the big red boots, he's tugging away, and he says, "Now, little girl, what do you call those?" She said, "Well, they're your boots, or your brogues, or your flip-flops, or your Nikes, or your tennies, or whatever you please, sir." He said, "Those," she tugged them off, "those are me hay-down trudders." And then he handed her his trousers, and he said, "Would you take those and hang them up for me?" "Thank you, little girl. By the way, what do you call them?" She said, "They're your pants, or your trousers, or whatever you please, sir." "Ah, no," he says, "those are me fortune's crackers. Now, good night, little girl." Well, it wasn't too long before there was a tremendous racket from downstairs, and the little girl's voice wafted up the stairway, and she said, Domine Precepto, rise up out of your barnacle, put on your fortune's crackers and your hay-down treaders, and come down the wooden hill, for white-faced simony has a spot of hot cockalorum on her tail, and if we don't pour pondalorum on it soon, the whole grey Castle Strawbunkle's going up in hot cockalorum. Well, Seamus Ennis, he said always that he knew that little girl in later years, and whenever he played this particular reel, which is called The Smoky House, where she'd run a mile.
cast an underlook, and there he saw a fair pretty maid beside the watery brook, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. Cast over me my mantle fair, and pin it o'er my gown, and you will take my hand, my dear, and I will be your own, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. If you come down to my father's house, which is walled all around, and you shall have a kiss from me and 20,000 pound, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. He mounted up on a milk-white steed, and she upon another, and then they rode along the lane like sister and like brother, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. As they were riding on alone, they saw some rooks of hay. Oh, is this not a pretty place for girls and boys to play, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. But when they came to her father's gate, so nimbly she popped in, and said, there is a fool without, and here's a maid within, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow. We have a flower in our garden, we call it marigold, and if you will not when you may, you shall not when you would, and sing, blow away the morning dew, the dew and the dew, blow away the morning dew, how sweet the winds do blow.
There were 3 old gypsies came to our door. They came brave and boldly, oh, and as one sang high, the other sang low, and the lady sang the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, oh. And it was upstairs and downstairs the lady went. She put on a suit of leather, oh, and there came a cry from around our door. She's away with the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, oh. It was late last night when the Lord came in, inquiring for his lady, oh. The servant girls all around him cried, she's away with the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, oh. A saddle for me, my milk-white steed, a big horse is not speedy, oh. And I will ride and I'll meet my bride, she's away with the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, oh. And he rode east and he rode west, he rode north and south also, and until he came to a wide open field, it was there that he spied his lady, oh. He said, why would you leave your house and your land? Why would you leave your money, oh? Why would you leave your only wedded lord and run away with the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, oh? What do I care for money, yo? What do I care for my only wedded lord? I'm away with the Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, yo. But it was here last night in your goose feather bed, your blankets drawn so comely, yo. Tonight shall lie in a wide open field in the arms of your Raggle, Taggle, Gypsy, yo. What do I care for my goose feather bed with the blanket drawn so comely?
Hello, this is Robert Sicular with a few words of caution for young boys and girls. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momraths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub-Jub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal's sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the Tum-Tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes aflame, came woofling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, oh, frabjous day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momraths outgrabe. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white, and yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain. But now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again. You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason of that? In my youth, said the sage, as he shook his grey locks, I kept all my limbs very supple. By the use of this ointment, 1 shilling the box, allow me to sell you a couple. You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it? In my youth, said his father, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength that it gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life. You are old, said the youth. One would hardly suppose that your eye was as steady as ever. Yet you balanced an eel on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever? I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough, said his father. Don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs.
Price of bread may worry some, but it don't worry me. Tax relief may never come, but it don't worry me. Economy's depressed, not me, my spirits high as they can be. And you may say that I ain't free, but it don't worry me. It don't worry me. You may say that I ain't free, Say this train don't give out rides, but it don't worry me. All the world is taking sides, but it don't worry me. 'Cause in my life all is sweet, just ask any beau you meet. And life may be a one-way street, but it don't worry me. It don't worry me. It don't worry me. You may say that I ain't free, but it don't worry me. It don't worry me. It don't worry me. You may say that I
When I was a young man, had never been kissed. I got to thinking it over, what I had missed. I got me a girl, I kissed her and then, well, oh Lord, I kissed her again. She had, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Well, I asked her would she marry and be my sweet wife. I said that we'd be so happy the rest of our lives. I begged her and I pleaded like a natural man. And then, oh Lord, she gave me her hand. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. She had, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Well, we worked very hard, both me and my wife, working hand in hand to have a good life. With corn in the field and wheat in the bin, I was, oh Lord, the father of twins. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. She had, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Well, the children, they numbered just about 4, and they all had sweethearts knocking at the door. They all got married and they didn't hesitate. I was, oh Lord, the grandfather of 8 from those, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. She had, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Well, now I'm getting older and ready to go. I get to thinking what happened a long time ago. We had a lot of kids, a lot of trouble and pain, but then, oh Lord, I'd do it again for those, oh, kisses sweeter than wine. She had, oh, kisses sweeter than wine.
Sultan sat on his oriental mat at his home in High Street, Persia. He took a sip of his coffee, just a drip, and he said to his servant, curse ya, oh curse ya, curse ya, curse ya. It's the horriblest coffee in Persia. What I want is a proper cup of coffee, made in a proper cup of coffee pot. I might be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. There are tin coffee pots, pine coffee pots, they're no use to me. Or if I can't have a proper cup of coffee from a proper cup of coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. King Solomon with his queen carry on, so we read in ancient scandals. He gave her lots of silver coffee pots with diamond spouts and handles. But said the Queen of Sheba, I'd rather have any old tea bar. What I want is a proper cup of coffee, made in a proper cup of coffee pot. I may be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. There are tin coffee pots, iron coffee pots, they're no use to me. Or if I can't have a proper cup of coffee from a proper cup of coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. How's your father? All right. One more verse. When Bonaparte found that he was in the cot, and he'd had that Waterloo fight, he gave his sword up to Wellington the Lord, and he said, you British, you do fight. You've had your Waterloo, sir. Now what am I having with you, sir? Made in a proper cup of coffee pot. I might be off my dot, but I want a cup of coffee from a proper coffee pot. There are tin coffee pots, iron coffee pots, they're no use to me. Oh, if I can't have a proper cup of coffee from a proper cup of coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee from a proper cup of coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea.
Black, black, black is the color of my true love's hair. His lips are like some roses fair. He's the sweetest smile and the gentlest of hands. I love the ground on where he stands. I love my love as well he knows. I love the ground on where he goes. How I wish the day that it soon would come, when he and I will be as one. I go to the mountains to mourn and weep, for satisfied I will never be. I'll write him a letter, just a few short lines, then suffer death 10,000 times. For winter is past, and the leaves are green. The time is gone that we have seen, but still I long for that day to come, when you and I will be as one. Black, black, black is the color of my true love's
Attention, everyone. Gloom is the enemy, even to the end. The parodies of self-knowledge were embossed by gloom inside our eyelids, and the abrasion makes us weep for no reason, like a new bride, disconsolate in the nightgown she had sewn so carefully. The dog comes back from the field, lumpy with burrs. I put down my pen and pull them out. It is a care I have taught him to expect. I've always said it would be difficult. I'm declaring a new regime. Its flag is woven loam. Its motto, love is worth even its own disasters. Its totem is the worm. We eat our way through grief and make it richer. We don't blunt ourselves against stones. Their borders go all the way through. We go around them. In my new regime, gloom dances by himself like a sad poet. Also, I will be sending out some letters. Dear friends, please come to the party for my new life. The dog will meet you at the road, barking, running stiff-legged circles. Pluck one of his burrs and follow him here. I've got lots of good wine. I'm in love. And my new poems are better than my old ones. It's been too long since we started over.
Rosebuds in June and the violets are blowing. The small birds they warble on every green bough. Here's the pink and the lily and the daffodilly to adorn and perfume those sweet meadows in June. If it weren't for the plow, the bad ox would go slow, and the lads and the bunny lasses to the sheep shearing go. Our shepherds rejoice in their fine heavy fleeces and frisky young lambs with their flocks to increase. Each lad takes his last all on the green grass to adorn and perfume those sweet meadows in June. If it weren't for the plow, the fat ox would go slow, and the lads and the bunny lasses to the sheep shearing go. Our clean milking pails, they're filled with good ale. On the table there's plenty of cheer to be found. We'll whistle and sing, we'll dance in a ring to adorn and perfume those sweet meadows in June. If it weren't for the plow, the bad ox would go slow, and the lads and the bunny lasses to the sheep shearing go. Now the sheep shearing's over and harvest draws nigh. We'll prepare for the fields, our strength for to try. We'll reap and we'll mow, we'll plow and we'll sow to adorn and perfume those sweet meadows in June. If it weren't for the plow, the fat ox would go slow, and
Come on, lads, and let's be jolly, drive away all melancholy, for to grieve it would be folly while we are together. Let union be in all our hearts, let all our hearts be joined as one. We'll end the day as we begun, we'll end it all in pleasure. Right follow all right, to lot right, oh, right follow all right, to lot right, oh, right follow all right, to lot right, oh, while we are together.
Now let our voices ring the rafters, fill the room with song and laughter, joyous as the sweet hereafter, when we are together. Let union be in all our hearts, let all our hearts be joined as one. We'll end the day as we begun, we'll end it all in pleasure. Right follow right to the lido, right follow right to the lido, right follow right to the lido, when we are together.
Join with me, the tune is pleasing, heedless of the rhyme or reason, reveling in every season. While we are together, let union be in all our hearts, let all our hearts be joined as one. We'll end the day as we begun, we'll end it all in pleasure. Right follow all right to the lido, right follow all right to the lido, right follow all right to the lido, while we are together.